Hello BookTube, I'm Sean, the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another tag. So, you'll be watching this while I'm home in Canada attending to important personal business. And I've only got a few days before I go home. It's now August 4th. I'm flying to Canada on the 7th. So, the only way I can get a bunch of content up on my channel to be released during the 10 or 11 days that I'm away is to give you a bunch of completely unedited stuff. I'm not comfortable with completely unedited. I will edit out the long pauses and one or two ums, but it's going to be pretty raw footage. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's either no content, because I don't have time to do the editing the way I usually do it. Long pauses will be gone. Really, maybe embarrassing, stupid things, sentences will be gone. It's going to be pretty raw. So, this is the favorite childhood book tag, and I would say to start that my favorite childhood is the one that I'm currently enjoying. This is an original tag by Anthony Andrews. If you don't follow his channel, you should check it out. It's quite a delight, a breath of fresh air on BookTube. And in 30 years, when I'm dead and buried, Anthony will be just coming into his prime, and he'll be the seasoned veteran of BookTube. He's a fantastic booktuber. I was tagged by Jacqueline at 6 minutes for me, and I'm just going to run through these, and I'm doing this at my PC because I'm on the fly. I'm flying by the seat of my pants, and I may need Goodreads or other Google help to get through this tag. But let's go, shall we? Number 1, what was your favorite book as a child? I would say The Wizard of Oz. It was read to me, and when I was about 5 years old, we had a record. It was like an audiobook, but it was an LP record, and I shocked my parents and my grandparents by committing to memory the full text of it wasn't the full text of the novel, but the full text of the abridged record, and recited it to them. My parents, to this day, kick themselves that they didn't make an audio recording of me reciting The Wizard of Oz from that record. What was your favorite film as a child? I would say The Sound of Music. No, actually, I'm changing my mind. I would say the film of the musical Oliver, the Oliver Twist story by Dickens. I can't remember, 8, 9, 10 years old when I saw it on TV. Or maybe the movie theater, I don't remember, but I fell in love with the young boy. And I've carried a soft spot for him, and he actually aged well. Most childhood stars don't, but go to his Wikipedia page. You'll find out, at least by the time he was about 25, he was the hot version of his cute 7-year-old self. But anyway, I digress. I love that movie so much. I'd do anything. I am not just one reader, so that's enough. But there's going to be more singing. Stay tuned. In fact, the very next question, number 3, what was your favorite song as a child? I didn't really care about music when I was a child, and I'm not a big music person now. But I went to camp, Bible camp, Christian camp. It wasn't very Christian, but anyway, summer camp for most of my childhood, and the campfire songs I loved, and I'm going to sing you my favorite. The title is, are you sitting down? I Have Lost My Underwear. It goes something like this. I have lost my underwear, I don't care, I'll go bare, bye, bye, long johns. They were very dear to me, tickled me, tee-hee-hee. Bye, bye, long johns. Trapdoor always falling down behind me. If you look there, you are sure to find me. I have lost my underwear, I don't care, I'll go bare, long johns, bye bye. Alright, moving on. I think I need more wine for this. Number 4, what was your favorite television program as a child? Sesame Street. I remember the very first episode. I think I watched the very first episode, but that may be just fantasy in my mind. But the Canadian TV show was The Friendly Giant, but Mr. Dress-Up, Canadian show. But I want to talk about Abbott and Costello, because by the time I was about 8 or 9 years old, on my Saskatchewan TV channel, they would play old comedy movies from the 40s and 50s before lunch, and I fell in love with Abbott and Costello. Who's on first? And it was the short fat guy. He was Abbott, right? I used to know. I read a biography of them when I was about 14. But anyway, I thought they were so hilarious. The funny guy was hilarious. I mean, the movies were terrible, but I just loved them. And to a lesser degree, because they were vastly inferior, but Ma and Pa Kettle and Francis the Talking Mule. But Abbott and Costello, special place in mine. Because I've never really liked television, so Abbott and Costello. Number 5, what was your favorite author as a child? Hands down, Enid Blyton. I'm sure I would find her writing abysmal today, but I know many adult readers discover that they do. Maybe I wouldn't. I've never tried, and I'm not good at rereading childhood favorite books, so I probably will never try, even though I have one kicking around here. But I had just devoured her and her books, and I liked the quote-unquote realist fiction. I wasn't interested in the mysteries and the Famous Five. Never read any Famous Five books. Didn't like those. I liked The House at Red Roofs and The Enchanted Wood and The Enchanted Forest, or The Magic Forest, or whatever. And the more dramatic, fantastical, but not genre fantasy and not mystery. Like Naughty, I never read any Naughty, I never read any Famous Five, but I loved Enid Blyton. And when I was she died in 1970, 1975. She died in 1968. I was born in 1966. I wrote a letter to her publisher when I was about 7, so that would put it at about 1972, 1977, 66 plus 7. 1973, 1974. I wrote a letter to her publisher in England wanting a photograph or a signed photograph or something. And I got a letter back that she had died, and I was devastated. I mean, this is obviously pre-internet, so my parents didn't know she had died. Nobody knew she had died, but the publisher very gently told me she'd passed away. And when I was about 12 years old, I read a biography of her by Barbara Stoney. I still remember the biographer's name, and found out that she had been divorced. And growing up in small town Saskatchewan, I was scandalized and really crushed that my favorite writer had been divorced. It was the first time I'd ever heard of anybody that I cared about being divorced. I've come a long way since then, but anyway, so that's Enid Blyton. Question number 6. What was the worst book that you read as a child? I wasn't the fussy reader that I've since become, so I actually can't remember being disappointed by any book in my childhood other than the Bible. 7. What one character from your favorite childhood books would you like to meet and befriend? This is easy for me. Another series of books that I loved as a kid was Anthony Buckridge's series of British boarding school novels for middle grade readers, I guess we would say now. The Jennings series. And I had many of them. And the hardcover books that I had, I don't remember how I first discovered them because I was in Canada, they were from Britain. maybe from the library, but then my grandparents started ordering them from their bookstores, and I had quite a collection. I didn't have the complete series, but I had, half dozen or more. And they had photographs from the TV series, which I've never seen, and I fell in love with the photographs of Jennings. But the books were wonderful. I tried doing an audiobook of one of the Jennings novels, children's novels, a year and a half ago. It didn't go well. I don't really do well with going back to my childhood and rereading my favorites, but I have such memories of those books and my romantic longings for Jennings. He looked a bit like a boy that I was in love with in my hometown. And last one, number 8, tag a friend. Wilsonn Shugart, just one reader. Doris of Aldi Books. And anybody else who'd like to do this tag. Thanks for watching.